And welcome back to the ADSA Scientific Sessions. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Marcos Zanobi. Welcome back, Marcos. We also have guest Dr. Erickson from University of New Hampshire and his student, Tess Stahl. So, and going to be in 3 weeks going for a PhD. So good luck with that.
Thank you.
All right. Listen, Dr. Erickson, would you start us off, just kind of give us some background on yourself and who you are and what you guys are about?
Okay, so I've been a professor at UNH for 26 years, going on 26 years, professor of dairy management, extension dairy specialist. A lot of research has been in the area of calf and heifer, and now we're getting into the transition cow work. So Tess came on board back for her master's back in 2017, and then worked with heifers there, and then we decided to go into the transition cow work, primarily with jerseys, because jerseys have some issues with colostrum, and that's really where we were going to evaluate with this in this experiment. So,
Are you a born and bred New Englander?
I most certainly am. You probably can tell by my accent.
A little bit, yeah.
So.
Exactly. Would you mind telling us just a little bit about Tess?
So Tess came to us from Delaware Valley University.
Yeah.
Did her master's with me, studying sodium butyrate in post-wean heifers. Did a large 12-week study. Decided to stay on for her doctorate, which this research was actually done during COVID, which made it another challenge for us. So we have 2 herds at UNH. We have a Holstein herd and a Jersey herd, and this was primarily done with jerseys. Tess will be leaving us for a faculty position in a couple months. So.
Oh, and you know where already, I guess.
Yes.
Can you tell us that?
Rutgers.
Oh, cool.
So.
Excellent. Another Big Ten school. I like
Yes.
that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tess, why don't you, by the way, I was going to tell you, I spent some time in Bucks County, lived there for a while, and down in Newtown, so that's not all that far from Delaware Valley.
No, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful area.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you mind giving us kind of the hypothesis and objective of the study that we're going to be talking about today?
Sure. So Pete and I had talked about investigating this issue with colostrum yield in jerseys based on a paper that came out in JDS in 2018. The author is Gavin, and it came out of Washington State Vet School. But the cows were in Texas, and they did this very large trial. They looked at both primiparous and multiparous cows, and a lot of factors that are influencing colostrum yield. And they had observed that a lot of the multiparous cows produced very low amounts of colostrum. They did see a seasonal effect of it, so primarily happening in the late fall and winter, and then picking back up again in the spring. So they really weren't sure what was happening with it. They had hypothesized photoperiod, but they really weren't solid on anything else other than that. So he and I had talked about, I had read in an endocrinology journal about the connection between hypocalcemia and the mammary epithelial cells and their ability to bring calcium into the mammary gland, and how it's connected to the osmolality. And so if there's low calcium, there's low yield, so not as much water coming in. And so we kind of thought maybe the DCAD diet would help. And there's really been no research evaluating levels of DCAD in jerseys, what would be appropriate for them. So we wanted to make those connections between, can we really hone in on a level of DCAD that would work for jerseys and help improve the yield. And the nicotinic acid part of the trial was due to work from UNH with Holsteins that saw 32 grams a day resulted in the best response for both the cows and the calves. They saw an increase in purine derivatives, so they thought microbial protein synthesis. Nicotinic acid is a known vasodilator, so more blood flow, more amino acid flow to the mammary gland, and they saw an increase in IgG concentration on that trial. So
is nicotinic acid also anti-lipolytic?
yes.
I know niacin is, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another term for niacin.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah,
I
so
thought
it's
maybe they were a little different.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
No, it's just the unprotected
Okay, got it.
niacin.
So more of a rumen effect?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, so a ruminal effect, exactly. And then they saw that the calves were more feed efficient in the first 3 weeks of life. So something was improved with niacin supplementation that resulted in small intestine development in the calves, which was some pretty cool stuff. So we wanted to do both. Can we improve both colostrum quality and quantity? And we took the 32 and edited it for the metabolic body size of jerseys. So we wound up at 23 grams a day of nicotinic acid. And then I took the -80 DCAD, which is deemed optimal for Holsteins, and cut it in half. No real science, just wanted to see if going something more towards 0 would be better for the Jersey breed. And that's what we had hoped would happen. Yeah, we would hope that we'd get the improvement in yield and quality.
So it's pretty nice, the design that you have. It's pretty interesting. So especially when you talk about niacin and the role in rumen, because usually we focus more on the anti-lipolytic effect. But getting into the results, I think that you saw some anti-lipolytic results.
Did we see?
Less fat and
Yes.
more protein. in
Yes,
the
Yeah.
colostrum.
Yep.
yes.
So maybe we can go into the results and see your hypothesis behind the results.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the first things that we did with the calves on day 5 of life was we did a xylose challenge. So to explain it a little bit, you supplement D-xylose. You take a blood sample before the supplementation, and then you put the D-xylose in their morning milk, mix it in, remove their grain for the day, and take blood samples every few hours until 12 hours. And we had seen the increase in circulating xylose concentration in the calves that came from nicotinic acid supplemented cows, which was pretty cool. And so now that was verifying that feed efficiency in the first 3 weeks that was seen with the Holstein calves.
Kind of repeating the results.
Yes, yep,
very
just
nice.
wanted to see, was it true, basically. And then since we had observed the problem with yield, as everyone else has seen too with jerseys, and we had to put a minimum for colostrum. So calves received a minimum of 2 liters to enroll of maternal colostrum, and up to a gallon, and anything in between those two numbers. And we had to set that baseline because 10 cows produced less than 2 liters, so not enough to even feed the calf.
And was that based on trying to get a certain amount of IgG into them? And if so, what was that amount?
It was just to, yeah, so just enough to meet the baseline that they would need to meet the passive of transfer immunity.
Yeah, so we tried, standard operating procedures are give them 4 liters, give them a gallon approximately. And we basically had to go and say, all right, we had to have a cutoff somewhere because they had to get some. And one of her cows produced 0 colostrum. So it was a bit of a challenge. So, and this is an ongoing problem.
And we had, because of the results with the calves in the Holsteins, we had looked at a lot of the bioactive compounds that affect calf intestinal development. So lactoferrin, IGF-1, insulin, and transforming growth factor, beta-1 and 2, just to see what did niacin do, what was improved. And so we really didn't see much difference in concentration, but we saw that there was a greater amount of lactoferrin fed to calves that came from nicotinic acid supplemented cows.
Could you please give us more background about that bioactive?
Sure.
Why it's
So
important?
lactoferrin is causing cell proliferation. And so it's creating a more developed intestine, more absorptive cells, and so things can absorb faster in theory, and they would become more efficient, or you hope. And so that lactoferrin, and then with IGF-1, kind of a similar mechanism of action. We saw an interaction effect with the -40 with nicotinic acid cows providing the most IGF-1 to calves. And the -80 with was still pretty high. The interaction was at the -40 with. So 2 things that help with calf intestinal development, So we saw that data, we were really excited, and then we hypothesized, okay, well that means they're going to be more feed efficient then. And we did not see the result in feed efficiency. So the minus 40 calves without and with nicotinic acid or niacin were equally as feed efficient. And then there was a decrease with the minus 80. So the only thing I can gather is that the minus 80 is too harsh of a DCAD, and we're kind of seeing some, not as bad, but some similar effects from when you feed a minus 180 milliequivalent per kilogram dry matter in Holsteins. They saw a lot of fetal programming, and so there might be something happening with that that's negating any benefits we're seeing in the intestinal development.
Okay. And in the field in general, what is the recommended dose of DCAD for jerseys?
Well,
there is none.
So we're going to say based on her data minus 40.
Okay.
But hopefully someone looks into it further, because I wouldn't even say the 40 was the best.
Okay.
So.
Is that in the plan for the future?
Well, so right now we're going to continue on with a similar study looking at various amounts. 23 grams appears to be a little too high. So the next study will be 0, 8, and 16 grams to see if we can figure out. That study's due to get going in the fall.
Okay. And always unprotected.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we've been using. So.
Yeah, when they did the Holstein work, they did incremental dosing, and the 48 grams was too much, and we saw some similar results with the 23 in jerseys. So that's why I hypothesized it probably was a little bit too much for the jerseys.
Yeah. So I read the abstract, and it's pretty complete, and you talk about some fatty acids, specific, 16, 19. Can you expand a little bit on that and the benefit?
Yeah, I wish I had room to put it on the poster. There's a lot of data.
There is a backside.
Oh yeah, I should have flipped it over. So we had help from Mike Steele. Thank you, Mike Steele. And he had helped us analyze got the fatty acid profile in the colostrum. So we had from C4 to C24 one double bond. And we saw a lot of the effect of DCAD, so the minus 80 lowering a lot of our longer chain fatty acids.
Okay.
So a lot of the C18 and C20s.
Or more essential, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
seems to be that way. Yeah.
So there's not a lot of work with that and how those fatty acids are impacting the calf. Hopefully someone can look at that. Maybe Guelph is going to soon, but we really don't know, is it good, okay, or bad that they're lowered. But we did see the DCAD really primarily a lot of significance there in lowering these fatty acids.
Very nice. I do remember the trials from Dr. Staple from University of Florida, that he got really nice results supplementing essential fatty acids in baby calves. So
yes.
really nice results.
Yeah. Tess, it's been very interesting. I think, Marcos, I think we could do a full episode on this.
Yes.
But we are going to have to wrap this one up. When do you start your career over there at Rutgers?
Fingers crossed for September 1.
September 1?
Yes.
All right. Well, I will be there on November 4th tailgating.
Okay.
There's an Ohio State-Rutgers game that I will be attending, so if you want to come on out, you're invited.
All right.
So,
thank you.
Anyway, all right. Listen, thank you for joining us today. This is
Thank you
very
very
interesting.
much.
Thank you.